know I got the receipts, girl. You know I got the receipts. Bright Cellars is the monthly wine club that matches you with wine that you'll love. Get started by taking the Taste Palette quiz to see your personalized matches. Now, Bright Cellars matches you with wines from all over the world, curated to your taste buds. They are focused on finding unique hidden gems from small vineyards all over the world. And with hundreds of private label wines, you'll be able to try a new wine you've never tasted before. All you need to do is take their 7-question quiz so they can gather your taste preferences and deliver wines you're guaranteed to love. Each box is completely unique to your taste palette, meaning no box is ever the same. Each box comes with wine education cards for each bottle that outline the tasting notes, suggested pairings, best serving temperatures, and its origins. Wine wisdom cards help show you how to store and open your wine, keeping it tasting fresh for longer. Now, all Sweet Pea Diaries viewers will get 60% off your first purchase by clicking on the link in the description box below. Thanks again to Bright Cellars Wines for sponsoring this video. Welcome back to the Sweet Pea Diaries. It's your girl Sweet Pea, and I am back with another video. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back to my channel. And if you are a new subscriber, welcome to the Sweet Pea Diaries. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hey, Adriana's Report, Alicia, Tashonda, the original Menacing Vibes, my member, and Adriana, my member. Now listen, I have some tea, okay? Now you guys know that I have been working. I actually been working with Kevin Hunter for over a year now, okay? Trying to get this interview with him, Sharina, the whole thing. We were almost there, okay? We were right at that finish line, and Kevin backed out, all right? He backed out at the last minute. I talked to Kevin today for over an hour, all right? And I have tea that he told me, and I'm trying to be a good person, right? I'm trying to be a good human being, and I'm trying to do things the right way. Now, depending on how I'm going to move forward, it all depends on the support that I get behind this video. If you guys want the tea, if you know, I can't just be out here taking chances for free, okay? Now, if y'all want to really know about what he said and you want to hear it from his own mouth, I got to get support. Like, I can't just be taking chances and doing stuff and ain't nobody supporting the channel, right? So I'm thinking about whether or not I'm going to do this for my members or how I'm going to do this, because this man did not, I'm just going to be keeping it real. This man told me he was going to do an interview with me. Okay. He had me waiting and waiting and waiting. And I know he's got a lot going on. Hey, Coach. Hey, Miss T. Hey, Crystal. I know he's got a lot going on. And I know the press, and they've been having a field day with him. But when you're a blogger and you tell your audience that you're going to do something and you let me down, I'm like, so now what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to tell my viewers? What am I supposed to do about the plans that I made? Hey, Tammy. So I'm going to give you this information. Hey, Jackie. And I'm like, I'm thinking about how I'm going to move forward with my receipts, because I have receipts to back up everything that I'm saying. Me and Kevin had a very extensive talk, and I am up in the air how I feel about Kevin. On one hand, I can understand where Kevin is coming from with some of the things that he told me. And then on the other hand, my heart breaks for Wendy as a woman, right? Hey, Vicky, because she just couldn't move on. What is happening to Wendy and what we see with Wendy. Adriana, I know you guys were hoping that it was going to be the interview, but I'm going to tell you in the DM was what I got, okay? Because he wasn't going to just leave me hanging, okay? I got the tea and I got receipts. You know, as a blogger, you know we cover all of our bases. Like, you ain't just going to have me hanging out here, dude. But I got it, okay? I got it. Everything that I'm about to spill tonight, I have tea and I have receipts to back up this tea. Trust me. But if it's not any audience for it and don't nobody want the tea, then I'm not going to risk my ass if don't nobody, if ain't nobody going to support me, So I have to see what kind of support that this video gets, and if people want the tea, and then it will determine how I move going forward. And I'm not talking about financial cash apps and things like that. I'm talking about the response to this video. If I get response from it and there's a need and there's a want for the tea and the receipts, then I'll put it out. If you guys comment in the comment section on the replay and you guys seem to want this, then I'll put it out. Now, talking with Kevin, you guys need to watch the video, coach. I need to see views, I need to see if there is, a want for it. If not, then I'm not going to, because I could potentially, ruin a friendship and ruin a connection with the receipts that I have. So I just want to make sure that, I don't want to do all of this for nothing. Okay. And I'm not going to say a friendship because I'm really not a friend of anyone out here in that industry, but I don't want to ruffle any feathers and I don't want to, I don't want to move funny. So it just depends on the response I get from the video determines how I'm going to put out these receipts. So I talked with Kevin today. We had a very long conversation. And Kevin, there's a lot going on with Kevin Hunter. Kevin says he is not broke. Okay. He wants the world to know that he is not broke. That Denmark Mercury, they have their handlers and they have their people around Wendy that are trying to keep him from seeing the financial records. So basically what Kevin says, he is still in mediation. He said these reports that are now coming out in the blogs that are showing that he's broke and they cut him off and all of this. He claims that it's old. This stuff was from last year. He said that they're trying to push this narrative because he asked the courts to release the records and the financial records. He wants the financial records from when him and Wendy were married and I guess they were first getting ready to go through the divorce. He wants the financial records. He wants to know where all the money was going. He asked for years back of financial history. So he feels like they're trying to get him out of the way because they don't want him to see where the money has been going. Okay. So he's saying that these people are handling Wendy, right? He says that when they first hit the scene, and I believe this, he's like, listen, I'm from Brownsville. I'm from New York. He said, I'm a thug, basically. And he was like, I wasn't willing to get down or lay down. He's like, I'm not an F word. He's, I'm a heterosexual alpha male. He kept saying that. I'm an alpha male and I wouldn't get down or lay down. I wouldn't do and be what that industry wants you to do and be. He said that Wendy would like to go to the parties, and you know how you go to these parties to do business, but a lot of times they're drinking and it's a lot of festivities going on. And he would tell Wendy, like, listen, we got to be sharp. Let everybody around us drink and do all that, but we need to keep it tight. We need to stay sharp because it's money on the table, right? So he basically was saying that they never wanted him around because he always kept shit tight. He kept things right. He didn't play when it came to the business. He said Wendy wasn't the sharpest tool in the drawer when it came to business, but she was the talent. She was the brains behind the talent. He was the brains behind the money and the business and how they moved in that way. Okay. This is what he was saying. Okay. Now I'm just saying, and like I said, I got receipts to back this up. He said when he first met Wendy, she was on some type of substance, and he told her that he wasn't into that, and he did not want her to be involved with that substance. So in order to be with him, he told her she would have to let that go. So he said he never seen her continue to do it, but she really just traded one thing for the next. She put that down and picked up alcohol. And he said, you know, she would get drunk and they would be at events. And he told her, like, listen, you're going to have to slow down. So she really traded one drug for the next drug. And she was really battling alcohol, right? So he said that as years was going on, they were building this empire, but it was fake. Like whatever they showed the world, Wendy was so involved in the business as far as her show that her marriage was falling apart. And she wasn't paying enough attention to him, and he wanted more kids. And he said he did not find out that she tied her tubes until that damn movie came out. He said that they was not using protection after they had the son. He wanted more kids, and he was saying like, shit, we ain't using nothing. Why is she not getting pregnant? So he said he did not really even know that she really went and got her tubes tied until that damn movie came out. And, you know, I think they were already separated once that movie came out. Okay. So he's saying, like, literally, she was not paying enough attention to him. Now, y'all don't knock my head off. This is coming from Kevin. Okay. This is Kevin's truth. Okay. Kevin said Wendy wasn't paying enough attention to him. As a man, he wanted attention. She was more worried about being Wendy than she was about paying attention to her man. So he said he went and got another place. He got a separate place, okay, from their home. And he told her, he brought her to the house, to this house. And he told her, if you ever need to find me, this is where I will be. If sometimes I'm not home and you can't find me and you need to find me, it's an emergency, this is where I am. He brought her to that house. And so when I asked him, did she know about Sharina? He said yes, because she knew about this place, right? She knew about the house, and she hired private investigators because she had a feeling he was cheating on her, but still and yet he told her about this house. So he said he would tell her, if you got to do all that, just let me go. If you got to hire private investigators and you got to try to, you know, catch me cheating or whatever, just let me go. And he said she never wanted to let him go. So he said that when she did get these pictures, hey, Big Red, that when she did get these pictures of him cheating, really all the private investigator people did was put it out to the press, but she had already knew. When we found out, Wendy already knew. So it wasn't like she was just finding out when we all saw it and seen the pictures of him and Sharina. She already knew. Wendy knew. So Wendy was paying for, when we say that we hear that Wendy was paying for that house and he was living a double life, she absolutely was paying for that shit. And she knew that he was keeping house with Sharina. She knew it. But she couldn't be what I guess she felt like she couldn't be what he wanted her to be, because she was so busy into her life and the drinking and the partying and the industry that she just allowed him to have that life. So he said the drinking and all of this has taken a toll on Wendy. She couldn't find love. He said when they separated, now, oh, wait, I'm moving too fast. So when I was asking him about, when we were talking about the Sharina thing, he delved into when Kevin Jr. had the K2 incident. Y'all remember that? Him and Wendy were still married when Kevin was around 14 when he had this K2 incident, right? And Wendy talks about his battle with the K2. Kevin said he got his hands on it. It, had him acting crazy. So he took him to Honduras to get healed by Dr. Sebi. He says that Kevin Jr. was one of Dr. Sebi's last patients before he passed away. So Kevin says he got a private plane, $38,000 it cost. He got this private plane. He had a hard time getting Kevin on the plane. But the tea is he took Sharina with him. Sharina asked, was Wendy going? And Kevin said, no, Wendy is not going, because Wendy did not want to go. Wendy decided and chose to stay here. Okay. Now, see, this is why people can't just side eye Kevin all the time. Okay. Wendy decided to stay here. She didn't go over to Honduras. So it wasn't like, oh, he took Sharina because he was cheating and all this. No, Kevin was really messed up over it. My Cash App is right on the screen. And like I said, honey, I'm spilling this tea, but I got the receipts. I got some receipts. Okay. Now don't make me put these real receipts out. Okay. Because I have them. I have things that can back everything up that I'm saying. Now, he said, there goes the Cash App level. Thank you for your support. He said that they was getting ready to go to Honduras. And Sharina says, is Wendy going? He said, no, Wendy's not going because she's choosing to stay here. Kevin was so upset that Wendy wasn't going. He said she cared more about what she was chasing over here than her own fucking son. That's what he said. Those was his words. She didn't give a fuck about her own fucking son. She stayed here chasing whatever she was chasing. That's what he said. So Sharina said, you are in a bad state of mind. Your son is in a bad state of mind. I cannot allow you to go over there by yourself. So she went with them. Kevin Jr. was so messed up over the K2. And so they had a hard time even getting him on the plane because he was so warped out and so fucked up off the K2. So when they got to Honduras, they stayed over there for about 3 or 4 weeks. Kevin was over there, and so was Sharina, and so was little Kevin. He said the drugs had him so fucked up, they was over there fighting a lot of the time. Sharina had to keep them from fighting. And so with they cleaned out his blood, all the things that Dr. Sebi, they did. They healed little Kevin. And that's how they all switched over to the vegan diet, because when he had to come home, He said he called Wendy and told her that she had to get rid of everything, all the sweets, everything in the house, because he had to be on an alkaline diet once he returned. Because if not, all the things that they did, Dr. Sebi and them did, with his cellular rejuvenation, all that, cleaning his blood, all of that, it would just go right back. He would relapse if they didn't stick to the alkaline diet and all of that. So they get back, okay. And so Kevin is saying that his relationship forged ahead with Wendy, with Sharina, because Sharina was real. Okay. He said this was a real tangible relationship. He said the relationship that he had with Wendy, it wasn't real. It had become too Hollywood. Right. He wasn't getting enough attention. He felt like Wendy was, when she was like shitty and she had done shitty things, she would go out to an audience that would just clap for her and tell her that she's the best thing in the world. But meanwhile, she could have just did a bunch of shitty stuff. And he said that someone famous told him, how would you think that would make a person feel, right? They get lost into that. And if they're weak and they're not strong enough, this can take their mind and this can take them away from reality, where you're not seeing reality. You're being told that you're so great, you're so great, you're so great. And nobody's checking you. Everybody's just appeasing you. So he said that Wendy, when her handlers, he said you got to go through so much shit to get to Wendy's. Like once they split up, the handlers would keep him away and keep other people away from Wendy, which is what they do now. And he said they sit there and put spells. This was out his mouth. He said they literally sit there and put spells and witchcraft on her so that she is under their spell and she cannot hear anything that is being said that is truth. She's then under their control and will only do what they say. This is his words to me. That they literally will put spells on her and witchcraft. Okay? This is what he said. And he said Wendy is under total control of these people that are around her. He gave me all of the names. I will be researching this. This is not going to be the end of this video. I will be researching all of this shit that he told me. I have names. I have people, places, and things. I will be researching them. He told me to go find the truth, sis. He gave me all the tools I need. I will be looking for the truth. He said that these people are trying to keep him suppressed and keep Wendy fucked up so that she cannot have her own money and so that they can have control of her money because they use her money. They use her money. So they want to keep him away so that he can't see what's going on. They put out the stories. Like I said, well, Kevin, why all of a sudden now people are saying you're broke? Like, where's this coming from? He said who was behind all of it and what these people are doing. Okay. This man told me a lot of things and it was a lot for me to take in, but at the same time, I could hear in his voice that, he kept saying she fucked up. She fucked it all up. All the empire, the money, everything, she fucked it all up. And I would just, and he said, these words he said kind of like really hurt me, as a woman when he said, if she had just been able to find love and move the fuck on, she wouldn't be in the position she's in. That kind of hurt me because I was like, she really didn't want to move the fuck on, right? Like she was in love with you. You hurt her. Some women aren't that strong to be able to just pick up and move the fuck on. Right? So he said if she had been able to move the fuck on and, find love, then she wouldn't be where she's at. So then I asked, I said, well, what is actually wrong with her? What's wrong with Wendy? He says she's got holes in her head from the alcohol. And if she was allowed to heal and get rehab and get treatment, then she probably would be a little better off. But he said, years of alcohol abuse, alcoholism. He literally says she's got holes in her head, like holes in her brain. He said, the parts where it controls your memory functions and your ability to think logical and all of that. He said her brain is literally messed up from alcohol. And you guys can't deny that does happen to people. And you have to think, this is a celebrity. This is somebody that's rich. This is somebody that has access to alcohol, money, and all of these things. And he said that these people, even when she doesn't want to stop, they should be making her stop. They should be letting her go to a rehab, but they don't. They appease her and they just give her what she wants. He said, can you imagine like a big girl that a big child that wants chocolate, that wants food, and you know that they shouldn't have it, but you just keep giving it. Right? So he blames a lot of this on Wendy. He's saying that Wendy. Of course, he doesn't, feel, like he can do anything to stop this. Of course, he says he has no communication with Wendy. He doesn't speak to Wendy. And he says that Kevin Jr., they even stopped paying for his school. So Wendy's people, handlers, trust, whatever it is, they weren't even paying for Kevin Jr.'s school. He got kicked out of school because he couldn't afford to pay. So he got him back in school, he says. And while I was on the phone, Kevin Jr. was actually on the way over there. And so he said that, he was got him back into school. Right. So there's a lot going on here. It was a lot for me, and it was a long conversation. That is like basically as much as I could get out of it. It was a lot said, and like I said, I do have the receipts. I do have things to back up what it is that I'm saying. But you guys, what do you think about this? Do you think that they're putting spells on Wendy? Do you think that they sit there and literally put witchcraft? He said this. His words were spells and witchcraft. That they put spells and witchcraft on her, and that to where as though she's not physically able to understand what is being said. And that way she will do whatever they tell her to do. Her money is being controlled by her handlers, her management. Mercury doesn't want him to see the financial records. So they try to spin shit in the press, try to make him look like he's broke. And he said that he has a restaurant in New York. He's living in Florida with Sharina and the baby and everything. He's living down there. They have a restaurant in New York. He's about to open up another one. He says he's got a clothing line coming out. Sharina's an entrepreneur as well. He says they're doing fine. He says he had to liquidate a few things, but he is not broke. He said that the press is just making him look like this because they want to spin this narrative to make him look like he's broke. I don't know what they would have to gain from that. I don't know. But he said that the documentation that he had to give to the court, where he had to make it look like he's destitute, he said he had to do that so that he can show why the alimony payment should not be turned off. So he said that he's in mediation still. And that the paperwork that we see or what they've been putting out recently is old. It's from last year. So I asked, like, well, where's Wendy? Like, what did he said that they keep telling her she's going to get a podcast that she's not ever going to get. He said, do you ever see a podcast coming out? He's like, they keep making her think that she's getting this podcast. Then they said something about he said something about a clothing line that they keep telling her they're going to put out that they don't put out. So he's basically saying that Wendy is just going to waste away, that there's really, he said the lymphedema could have been corrected. He said she was told how that could have been corrected in the beginning when she first was diagnosed and they discovered she had it. but she kept doing wrong. She kept living unhealthy. And this is why the lymphedema went on as severely as it did. So he basically said that Wendy did not take care of herself. And she just let herself go. She let herself waste away. And he said he wanted more kids. He wanted a family. And he said that if she had had more kids, that probably would have saved their marriage. And I said, well, I can believe that. I said, because, children do have a way of bringing people together. But he said that he thought all this time that it just wasn't working for them, that they just wasn't having it. And here it is. She had got her tubes tied. He didn't know that. He said he didn't know that till the movie came out. He said he wanted to adopt even. He said he told Wendy, let's adopt, because he wanted a big family. He comes from a big family. He's always wanted a big family. This is Kevin's words. Don't shoot. I'm just the messenger. Bougie says, so if they could put a spell on her to control her, why couldn't they put one on him to control him now? Or is this all from a spell now? Why he keeps taking Wendy to court if he's not broke? Wendy should not have to keep paying him after he cheated and had a baby. Marriage doesn't seem worth it. Are you forgetting how hard it was for her to have the one child? Miss Grip said he lied. Well, a lot of people said that Kevin likes to manipulate the press to control the narrative, right? But if y'all had heard what I heard, and if y'all could hear what I heard, it wouldn't have been no way he could have manipulated that, because he was just straight up. Okay. I think if you would have heard how he was talking, he was so comfortable. He's very comfortable when him and I talk, which I really don't want to break that trust with people. He's very comfortable when we talk, and he just opened up and just said a lot of things. And the way he was talking, I ain't never heard him talk like that. It was very informal. It was very just him and I, and he really said a lot. Now if I was shady, right? Now what y'all would have did? Would y'all had recorded that? And what y'all would do with the recording? Y'all tell me now, would that be dirty? Is that a Tasha K move to record somebody and you don't tell them you're recording and you got all this tea? Would you put it out? Child, I'm telling you, this is what the man said, okay? This is what the man said. If that's true, that should have someone go and do a wellness check, not him, because he wants that money. Definitely record just in case. Sorry, I think he's full of it. Just my opinion. He's only concerned about her money and future because it stops his money. TK would be live right now. Digi says, I just don't like the way dude did her. He sounds like a piece of work. Children wouldn't have saved that marriage. Him being a better husband would have. Right. Sympathy play. I don't believe nothing he said. TK definitely would have recorded it. Shit, I would too, but I would sit on putting it out. It happened to him before with TK. I know. And that's what he was saying, like him and I, we built a rapport, and he trusts me, quite honestly. So, he told me what she did and how she recorded him. And I think she put it out, right? But I just don't think people really care and really checking for him. But I know if there was a recording that was to surface and hear him saying these things, it probably would go viral. It probably would be a lot of blogs taking clips from it. It probably, because he really, really said some shit, okay, in this conversation. All right. But, and quite honestly, I offered Kevin, to do an interview with me. We were going to, have a little contract and an agreement, but the way he just like, and I was like, wow, I made plans and I already told my audience and we're already ready for this exclusive interview. And then you just tell me like, now the opportunity, you don't need, like, oh, okay. Oh, so now you don't need my little coins. So now you're telling me you don't need to do the interview because you good now. It's like I kind of was a little pissed off about that. I ain't gonna lie. I'm like, wow. So you tell me what I offered you and the business arrangement. Now you tell me you good, you don't need it anymore. So fuck me, fuck my little channel. Like, okay, what? Exactly. Like Adriana's like, yeah, like I've been waiting. I was actually just thinking about it. Like, really? Like, that's how you gonna do? I think it's a combination of some truth and lies. Just because he said it doesn't make it true. It just means he's a convincing liar. Well, I'm not saying, hey, I wasn't in their home. I'm just passing along the tea. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say what I believe or what I don't believe, but I know that there's some truth and there's some lies in everything that people say. There could be some truth in Kevin and what he's saying, and there could be some lies in there. But I do know that Wendy is a whole, she's a whole celebrity. And I believe that they would be in parties and they would be drinking and there would be liquor. And she might have went a little too far sometimes. And he had to be there to keep her in check. I really believe that. As we all see how she went down when she didn't have him. I mean, whether or not he cheated or whether or not he was toxic, there was still some sort of boundaries when he was around. And Wendy now, once he left her, it was just now a party. Now you don't have anybody around to keep you in check. And you definitely, them handlers and your managers and all them people, their job is to appease you and give you everything that you want. Right? They're not going to tell you you need to go to the rehab. And we all know Wendy loved that man. Wendy was head over heels for that man. They went from something, they went from nothing to something. He got out there, got the money, he was a playboy. He was spending the money while he was, she was working, but he said she wasn't paying attention to it. And that's a lot of times that's going to happen when you're the breadwinner and you out here getting the money, right? But he wandered. And then look at Wendy. Look at Wendy. He says she let herself go. And I agree. She did let herself go. Now, I ain't going to sit here and just because I'm going to be a woman because she's a woman and I want to be mad at him because he cheated. Come on, y'all. She still did let herself go. Look at the lymphedema. There are things. She's a millionaire. She's got money. There was things she could have done to fix that. She could have changed her diet. She could have stopped drinking. There were some things that she could have stopped doing. We cannot just blame this all on him. She really let herself go. Look at the old pictures of Wendy and then start looking at as she, once he left. Sometimes some things that might look like they're not good for you, it's discipline. Some people bring boundaries. Some people bring limits. And that's all I'm saying that Kevin was to Wendy. Now, everything else, all of the cheating and all that, she knew about it. She chose to stay with him and allow him to do those things. Wendy could have put her fucking foot down and told him to get his shit and get out. Now, Wendy is a master chess player. She knows exactly what she's doing. It's sad to say it, Judy, but Wendy is not even all there. Wendy is not even making her own decisions. Mentally, physically, Wendy is not making her own decisions. Why do you see that she's not out here? I'm not blaming her. Wendy's not a victim. Wendy is a woman that has been cheated on and divorced like any other woman. She is not a victim. She is not going to be the last woman to be cheated on. But you got to have common sense as well. You can't just say he's wrong or she's wrong. You got to really look at the situation and try to be like, okay, what part did she have to play in this? And what part did he have to play in this? And when I think about Wendy and I look at Wendy, Wendy was talented. She was talented. but she let herself go, and she gave those people that are around her too much control. Hey, Miss Harvey, they have too much control in her finances. There's no reason that any Wells Fargo person should have frozen her assets and did all the shit that they did. And he told me the woman Lori, he gave me her first and last name. She's not even been fired from Wells Fargo. Hey, Epiphany, thank you for the $10. I appreciate you. She hasn't even been fired from Wells Fargo for doing the shit that she did. I do believe that there is like, they all have an interest in keeping Wendy's money tied up. But what you see with Wendy, I asked him, what is going on with Wendy? Is Wendy in her right? Is she capable mentally? He said no. He said no. He said those people that are around her, they all want her money. They want to keep her the way she is. They have no interest in her getting well. He said they let her check out of these programs before time. She doesn't have enough time to heal. Her health is bad. And so, now I'm just like, oh, so now Wendy's all fucked up, and now you just get to go off and live your life in the sunset and be happy with your wife. With your girlfriend and your new your child. And you said, she's soon to be your wife. That's kind of what was eating at my heart. You know what I mean? I was like, damn, here it is. Wendy gave you, the best of both worlds, and she gave you a lifestyle. Y'all was driving around, and I remember how Sharina used to drive around in that Lambo or Ferrari or whatever it was. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm sitting there like, wow. And now you get to ride off in the sunset with your younger woman and a baby. And now Wendy is sitting back here fighting for her sobriety and fighting for her health and fighting for her money. Right? So it's really sad. And then, we should just pray for Wendy, because there's a lot of evil around Wendy. And we do know that. We know how the industry is. There's a lot going on in the industry. Yeah, that's true, Isha. You marry for better or worse, not just for better, which is true. But their marriage was falling apart, he said, way before Sharina came along, because he said he wanted a baby. He wanted more children. And Wendy could not give him more children. I'm just telling you what he said. I'm telling y'all what the man said. I'm trying my best to not be biased, or, I don't want people to think, oh, well, you sound like you for him, or you sound like you for her. I'm really just trying to tell the story, because if I really say what I think, I probably piss a lot of people off. I'm really not for, either one. I'm on the side of, I'm just telling the story. I can't really, I don't have enough information, because I don't have her side. Right? So I can't say whose side I believe, because I only talk to him. I have never talked to Wendy. So I can't say who I believe. So I'm just telling you, what he said. And then what we have in the press, as far as Wendy, we can put two and two together. But I can't really say what's true or not, because I've never talked to Wendy Williams. Sarah says, but he never left. He's a liar. Empress said, he cheated and flaunted it and humiliated Wendy. He can't talk about nobody mistreating her, because he treated her worse than anybody. And when I told you, when he said if she could have just fucking found love and moved the fuck on, I wanted to jump through that phone. And like I said, I'm trying my best to be non-biased. But when he said that as a woman, I wanted to jump through that phone. Like, how can you tell somebody they should have just moved the fuck on and found love just because you did? She was like, how the fuck could this dude do this to me? This nigga, I done took him from goddamn Brownsville, done moved him up in the world, and this is what he do to me? And publicly? When he said that, I was like, damn, how can she? I get what you're saying, and that is true. If she had moved on, and maybe moved on with a new love, or found a person that loved her, and she loved him, and she could have had a better, meaningful relationship, maybe things would have worked out better for her. But if where she is in her mind, I said, well, does she got dementia? I said, is there some type of Alzheimer's or something like that? I said, because whenever we see her, she just always looks wide-eyed and lost. He said, no, this is all self-inflicted. He said, there's no dementia, no Alzheimer's or nothing like that that runs in their family, in Wendy's family. He said that this is all self-inflicted from her drinking. That's what he said. Sparkle says, laugh out loud, spells on her. If you only knew. Anyway, love you, sweet pea. Love you too. Bougie said, right. He just moved to another house and told her, find me over here. What the F? Right. She doesn't have dementia. Well, honey, he said that it is self-inflicted, that no, it is not dementia. She doesn't have. He said that it's self-inflicted. He said she's got holes in her head, that she has holes in her brain, that it's the side of, you know how he said the parts where memory and comprehension and all that. And he said that those parts of her brain are affected from drinking. Coach says, no, I think Wendy has early stages of dementia. That would explain the holes in her brain. He said she's got holes in her brain. And he said that it's self-inflicted from drinking. And he said that the handlers and the people around her do not allow her to stay in treatment long enough to heal. That's what he said. Sharina will do him dirty. You lose them how you get them. He's much older than her. He's going to end up alone. Judy says, I don't believe anything Kevin says. Call Me Darling says, Wendy used to tell her young fans to always have your FU money and always have a plan when it comes to these men. And Joy says, exactly. And Tina says, go knock on her door and see if you can get an interview. I don't think that's going to happen. And what about Jason Lee? I wonder if the handlers put him in over there. But Sweet Pea, Wendy went along with Dirty Hollywood. She's not fully innocent. These people sacrifice all the time for fame and the money. Okay. Can you please ask him to have her work with Dr. Daniel Amin? He's a neurologist who specializes in brain scans. He's phenomenal. If anyone can help her, it's him. Well, getting fine now. Kevin says that he doesn't talk to Wendy. Yep. Don't you know he was verbally and abusively physical? He was abusive verbally and physically. Yes, I heard about that. Liar. Kevin Hunter, did he say all of this before or after the judge's recent ruling? So he said that this is all cap and that the press is getting old information. He said that he's in mediation. This is what he said. The judge says that he's got to show more evidence of something and he's in mediation. I can't get the exact words, but I know he said he was in mediation, and he said that he's going to fight this as long as he can. He said because Debmar Mercury doesn't want him to get a hold of the records, the financial records, because they have been spending money on things that they shouldn't have. Her money has been allocated places that it shouldn't have. And he said while they were married, those are the records that he's asking for all the way back then, because he wants to see where the money was going. And he said because of those requests, they are hell-bent on him not finding this out. So that's what he said, y'all. Okay. Now, what do y'all think about this? Now, the whole Honduras thing with little Kevin going to Dr. Sebi's. He said it was K2. And I know I heard about that in the press. Wendy said that he was 14. It seemed like he had a drug addiction, but the way Kevin made it sound was like he got a hold to some bad batch and, because they sell it at the gas station. He didn't make it sound like Kevin was abusing it. on a daily basis. He made it sound like the meat was a one and done. He got some of it and he went crazy over it. You know what I mean? Like it was bad and he had a bad reaction. And so they had to whisk him away. K2 is synthetic marijuana. They had to whisk him away to Honduras. You know, and Sharina went because Wendy didn't want to go. And he didn't make it like Wendy didn't want to go because she had to work. He said Wendy didn't want to go because she was too caught up in what the fuck she had going on over here. That's how he said it. What the fuck she had going on over here that she didn't care about her son. And he said, which is now she doesn't care about him now either because she's not even making sure that his school gets paid for. So the way he's making it seem is like Wendy is holed up somewhere in her home or whatever, and these people are just keeping her away, and you know, they're controlling her money. She doesn't have access to shit. They're controlling her money, and she has no idea what's going on, and they just keep her warped out. I don't know if she's still drinking. He really didn't say, but he say they appease Wendy and they give her whatever she wants, even if it's bad for her. So, Baltimore Raven says, I've been looking into this stuff for years. At first, kind of for fun, but then I found facts. I believe him with the witchcraft stuff. Great tea, sweet pea. Thank you, Baltimore Raven. And like I said, I do have receipts, you know, but it just depends on how far this video goes. I'll see how, you know, if it does well and if it's people responding to it, then I'll see what I do with it. But yeah, he really dished some shit to me, and he's got a grudge against Debmar Mercury. All right. Kevin says he is not a broke ass nigga. Okay. He says that he's got restaurants, okay, clothing lines. He's got all kinds of deals on the table. And I told him, I said, I know you do. Because first of all, Sharina ain't never talked to no fucking body. Okay. I was trying to get that damn interview. And he had me assured that I was going to get this tea and I was going to get this interview. Kevin, I'm mad at you. But I like I told him, I know you're sitting on a gold mine over there. Nobody ever seen that little girl. Okay. Sharina never told her story. She ain't never been on nobody's show. Okay. You were Wendy Williams' husband. I'm pretty sure a book or something, some type of interview with you, Sharina, and that baby sitting on the goddamn sofa or whatever. People would eat that up. So I know you're sitting on a gold mine over there. So I don't blame him for like, hey, I'm not going to come to your channel. You can't give me no damn money that the rest of these people. So I would not be surprised if we don't see Kevin, Sharina, and the baby popped up somewhere doing an interview. He tells me that he will not be interviewing Call Me Darling. No, he will not be interviewing with me. I told that to T in the beginning of this video, honey, and I am mad. We were right there, but he basically told me that he doesn't need it anymore. Okay. He does not need the little crumbs I was offering and the opportunity that I was offering. So that tells me someone else done probably got to him, or they're willing to give him more money. But he makes it like they don't want to, him and Sharina don't want any press. They don't want to do any interviews. Sharina doesn't even give a fuck about none of this, you know, which I do see that she's kind of quiet. Like she's never done any interviews with anyone, but I believe that's because he controls the situation and says, no, you're not talking to nobody. You know, I don't think that she's doing that all by herself. Now that could just be her personality. She could just be a quiet person, reserved, but I'm pretty sure he's got a lot to do with that. Like, no, we're not talking. You're not talking. But I told him, I said, you sitting over there on a gold mine of tea, you know. So he says that he is not broke. He's got all kinds of deals and restaurant that's doing okay. He's about to open up another restaurant. So, because she knows she gonna get dragged. Sarah says, would you? She's a home wrecker. But shit, if she didn't have, now listen, home wreckers, I'm gonna tell you about that. If she has the gall and the need to, they need money. She had the gall to cheat on, cheat with Wendy's husband and be seen all in the press and pregnant and all this. She would post things when she knew Wendy was in the hospital. She would post and she would do these things to antagonize Wendy. So my thing is, if she had the gall to do that, you don't think she would have the gall to do an interview? She wouldn't give a damn as long as it was about money. I don't think she would give a fuck. She strikes me as that type that would be able to deal with the trolls. She just wouldn't respond. Child, they gonna pop up on Zeus Network, Coach said. Isha said he needs money, so he's gonna take his baby mama and baby to the highest bidder. I kind of think that too. I was like, he was making it seem like to me, we because we built a rapport by talking over the last year, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I hadn't put out any information, I hadn't recorded him and put nothing out. He felt like he could trust me, and so he was going to give me this interview, right? He was going to give me the exclusive, and I was going to be able to put this out. And then I've been like, Kevin, you ready? Then he like shoot over the questions, do this, do that. He was just pushing it and pushing it. And then finally today he called me, like when I reached out and was like, hey, so what are we going to do? What's up? And so he just called me, and we ended up talking for over an hour. And, he gave me all this tea. And so this is what he said to me, y'all. Choke No Joke had him on. I know, I do remember that. And, he said he really didn't like how that interview went. And so he was like, he was going to give me tea that he didn't give him. And, he was really making it like we were going to really, break the internet. He was going to go viral. I was going to get viral, so I was like, okay, that sounds good, and then now he's just like, oh no, that opportunity has, I don't want to do it anymore. And I'm just like, okay, thanks. But it's fine. Hey, it is what it is. Pretty much a lot of this, I think people already had an idea, especially with the Sharina piece where Wendy knew. I think Wendy has said that she knew. Sometimes though, I think it all depends on how you catch Wendy. I've heard her say she didn't know, and then I've heard her say she do know. But he confirmed that she absolutely did. He had another place, and he took her to that place, that house, and said, if you cannot find me, if you need to find me, this is where I am. And so he basically is like, if I'm cheating, or if I got another place and you suspect me of cheating, then that I'm over here with this woman here. Where else would I be? So he said multiple times she did catch him. He got caught up with Sharina. Wendy did catch it. But he said, let me go, well, then just divorce me. And she would not. She wanted to hold on to it. So Empress said, nobody's interested in the mistress's story. She's a shameless gold digger. She's getting karma now too. They're not able to leech off of Wendy anymore. Yep, he just strung you along. All he do is lie. He was fixing it up for you, huh, sweet pea? Child. I said, you know what? Now, what if I was to be messy? And what if I recorded this conversation? And then what if I put it out? Wouldn't I be trashy? Wouldn't I be just like Trashy K? Right. Trashy K called the hospital and exposed it and sent it to Wendy's team, the baby. Now, I mean, like, what if, isn't that the business that we're in? I mean, isn't it cutthroat? People record people all the time and just put it out, don't they? Now, what if I did that? I'd be just as bad as Trashy K. They have businesses. Make your own money, Kevin. Right. He said he got businesses, clothing lines. He's not broke, and he doesn't want the world to be going off of these narratives. Now, I'm just kidding. I'm putting out the information. I'm just telling you this is what he said. Some of it I do I kind of like, yeah, that makes sense. But Kevin is not totally off the hook. Like, you cheated on Wendy, you embarrassed her in front of the entire world, and for that woman just went downhill. It was totally downhill after that. Now, as far as Wendy, I would say, as a woman, I understand you were heartbroken. I understand you were wounded, but you got to pick yourself up, dear, and you had to move on. The fact that you just continue to just keep drinking and let yourself go, I don't agree with that. And I think what Wendy should have did, she's a millionaire. I mean, a millionaire a million times over. You know what I mean? Like, take your money, and you could have just went and got yourself together, went away for a while. And I mean, you just let your show go. They just basically just took her show right from under her. Like, even the way they did her with her show was just horrible. So I can believe that some of the shit that went on in Wendy's camp, it wasn't all Wendy. It was a lot to do with those sneaky ass managers and handlers that she's got around her. Their interest is keeping Wendy's money tied up and keeping her foggy, keeping her mind all foggy, keeping her drunk, keeping her high, so that they can control her money. And of course, people feel like, well, Kevin, you want some of it too. You want her money too. We get that. But what about what is happening with Wendy? Y'all can't deny that Wendy is not the same Wendy. That ain't the same Wendy, y'all. And y'all got to stop that. That's not the same Wendy from back in the 90s, back in the 2000s. That's not the same Wendy. And true that she is getting older. But Wendy, there is something going on with her mentally and physically. Wendy needs help. Wendy needs to go heal. She needs help medically. You can see that there's something wrong. I don't give a fuck how many celebrities she's seen, how many times Jason Lee snaps a photo with her out somewhere on a red carpet. That doesn't mean that Wendy is well. And Jason Lee, I'm sorry, but he's a puppet. He's in the industry now. You don't think that they place people places to make shit look a certain way? And if you notice, they got her with a medium person. We see her with a Jason Lee. Why Jason Lee? Jason Lee? Are you serious? There's plenty other people in the industry, women, black women, that are much more bigger names than a fucking Jason Lee. What? Why would Jason Lee all of a sudden have Wendy on his arm? He's being seen out with Wendy Williams. What? Her career has been reduced to her hanging around the likes of a Jason Lee. See, y'all think that this man is so rich, and so Jason Lee is a fucking YouTuber, okay? That just came up because he was having a bromance with Floyd Mayweather. And Floyd Mayweather put his ass on as far as money is concerned. Floyd Mayweather invested in that show. And then he started being around, the right people and being put in rooms and making deals. And he's down with the Hollywood elite. Why the fuck would Jason Lee be seen with Wendy Williams? Wendy Williams is a millionaire. She's a media mogul. Jason Lee is a YouTuber. There's something fishy with that. These handlers, these people, they put people around taking snapshots and making it look like she's good. She was out with Jason Lee. She's in her right frame of mind. If you ever notice, he says things at the opportune time. Yeah, I was just on the phone with Wendy the other day. Nobody asked you about that shit. What are you bringing that shit up for? He was on somebody's podcast. What's that girl name? Rachel Kelly. What is her name? Something Kelly. Bridget Kelly or something like that. And I'm like, why would you be saying you was just on the phone with Wendy? Megan Hood says he's a handler. He has Cardi and Wendy and somebody else. He came up the night before Whitney's death. Why was Whitney's last party with Jason Lee's first and was his first industry party? Right, Bridget Kelly, that's the name. He was on her podcast the other day, and he speaks Wendy Williams. I was just on, matter of fact, I was on the phone with Wendy the other night. Huh? Like, what are you dropping her name for? But this is the, they wanted to make it look like, oh, she's good because she's hanging out with Jason Lee. So if you see her in certain places, it'll make it look like she's okay. But here it is, this woman really is not okay. And you can look at Wendy and see that she's not okay. Every photo, she's looking wide-eyed. She's not there. Like, she's stunned that she's even out. She's got to be, people's got to hold her up. She's barely speaking. And then when she does speak, it makes no sense. She's all over the place. So what I need people to understand, we love Wendy. She's a woman. Yes, she was done wrong. Totally. I get it. But come on. Wendy she's a millionaire. She should be in control of her own money. She should be controlled in her own faculties. Something's wrong where she can't control her money. And then why wouldn't they have the son? The son is an adult. Why wouldn't the son be around to control the money? Why wouldn't you have your son? Why would you have other people around? And then Kevin said he put little Kevin in the position. He said, that's a whole nother fucking story. He said, I put Kevin in the position to be able to help his mother and to be, in control of the money. But that's a whole nother conversation. So that leads me to believe little Kevin ain't got it all. He ain't, able to handle no kind of finances or anything or help his mother. Because at the age that he is, he should be able to do a little bit more. But he said he's not even around the son. Wendy's not even around the son. He's with, he was on his way over to his house. While we were talking, he said Kevin was on his way over there. He got him back in school because the handlers and managers and all this wasn't paying for Kevin's school. And so he had to leave school because they weren't paying for it. So he probably got him back in there with a loan, the grants and student loans and things like that. So yeah, I mean, it was deep, it was heavy, and like I said, I'm gonna debate, with myself to figure out how I'm gonna put this tea out, because it's more profound hearing it from the horse's mouth, right? Like, I'm a third party, yeah, you're hearing it from me, but it's nothing like hearing the conversation, is it? So, Kevin, we might have to talk, boo. I might have to see if you can give me some kind of phone interview. Maybe you can do a phone call or something like that. And maybe I can put this out over, like a phone conversation. You ain't got to do an interview with me, boo. You can just talk to me over the phone. I'll go ahead and record it and throw it on up here on the YouTube. Because the people want to hear it. They want to be entertained. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, if y'all want this, I see the person sent me a Cash App. I appreciate that. But like I said, it all depends on the support that I get for this video, the views and everything. Financially would be nice too. Donations would be great too. But if you guys want this tea, watch the video, run the numbers up, drop in the comments and let me know if you want it. If you want this tea, if not, I might just put it out to my members. I might just let my members. But I think everybody knows what I'm saying when I say I'm going to put it out. What does that mean to you? What does that tell you? Think I might got a recording somewhere? Maybe I have a recording somewhere. Oh, boy. But yes, I think Kevin had Kevin Jr. dipping in that Wells Fargo account. Child. I think this version of Wendy is like a clone. The real Wendy is either gone or being kept somewhere, the same as Beyonce. We not paying $5.99 for Zeus, Kevin. You better call Sweet Pea. Child, even if he don't call me, I'm going to have some tea for my members, okay? You guys pay for membership. Even if I don't put it out to the public, my members is going to get it, okay? That's what they pay for membership for. So I have to think about it, and I got to weigh the options, and I have to see what I have and see what I can do with it. But I was really surprised at some of the things that Kevin said. The witchcraft and the spells, I've heard this before. That witchcraft takes place in Hollywood. I've heard that spells are put on people. You know, he said that they literally sit down in front of her and put a spell on her before anyone comes in that dressing room. That's what he said. Before anyone comes in the dressing room, before anyone is allowed to speak with Wendy, you have to be vetted first. And he said they have to be alone with Wendy. They put the spell on her, and then they let you come and talk to her, and she's long gone. He said this. Mm-hmm. And he was basically saying, you know, if he was a get down or lay down type dude, if he wasn't an alpha male, he said it probably was some things that he should have did. Maybe he should have toned it down a little bit in the beginning. You know, he said he was a thug and all this and that. He said he should have toned it down some, but they want them type of, you know, homosexual type men. You know, he said if he was that type of a man, none of this would have happened. And, you know, because Wendy was more so into Hollywood and so into her career, and everybody was trying to keep them apart. He said that they caused a lot of arguments between Wendy and him, you know, when they were together. He said, you know, they did a lot of, you know, trying to turn Wendy against him, making her think that he's so thuggish, you know, that he, you know, that he wasn't right for Wendy. He was too rough around the edges. They would make him out to be that type of person. And he said that they had Wendy even feeling like that. Said after get done putting the spells and witchcraft and everything on her, they had her thinking the same way. And here it is, we both from the same hood. I'm like, wow. So like I said, it's very interesting story. It was a very interesting conversation. He named a lot of names, honey. He said these people are using Wendy's money. He said the real deal is that they keeping Wendy appeased, either with alcohol or other substances, so that they can keep her money. Wendy does not have access to her own money. Wendy is not signing none of these agreements, none of this legal shit. Wendy is not signing it. It's all the handlers. He said it's not Wendy. Wendy doesn't even know what's going on, he said. This is what he said. He said it's not Wendy. Wendy's not doing this. Wendy doesn't have control of her own money or her own assets and things. So how can she be signing paperwork? She must got some type of executor or something if he's saying that. Does that mean like some type of power of attorney? One of those whiteys over there. That's what he was saying. He said one of those crackers, you know, they got her all, everything is all in their control. And they got her all loopy, and, you know, she's just not in her right frame of mind. Said it's not the same Wendy. Wendy's gone. Wendy's not there anymore. And it's self-inflicted. That's what he said, child. But he was living a real nice life off Wendy and the spell she was under. He never shared any of this until he got cut off. Coach. Hollywood is named after the wood of the holly tree that Jesuit priests used to make wands to cast spells. Hollywood is very dangerous. Well, let me tell you, that's kind of, that makes sense, because movies, if you think about it, movies, that's a whole like casting a spell, kind of like to make you, you know, look at a picture, you know, and get lost in it, get lost in a movie. And that's what Hollywood was supposed to represent. Hollywood really, when they used to show pictures, they called them pictures, movies. It really was propaganda for the war. Like, remember, they used to show the World War I, World War II, the footage to make people be desensitized to the war and the things that were happening. So they used to show a lot of those images, and that's what people used to go to the theaters to actually watch, war propaganda, before the actual pictures, movie pictures and silent films and all that came out. They really were just looking at war movies, really. And it was actually the real action of what was happening over there. They weren't make-believe movies. It was actually the real footage of what was happening on the front. And they would show that in the theaters, and people used to watch it. So then once they started realizing that, oh, this can put people in certain moods, they would use it to influence the population to what they wanted people to know and what they wanted them to see and get ready for. So it did start off like that with the war and all. It's all propaganda. Yeah, Adriana, that's where it first came. That's what they used to do. You can actually Google that, but that's what they used to show in the theaters. Yes, facts. That's why they call the actors a cast. They are casting spells. Crazy. But like when they show us these movies about the end of the world, or they show us the movies about AI technology and all of that, they're really just trying to get you used to what it is that they're going to do, desensitize. That's what, like I said, with the war, they used to show those images. So when people come back from the war, from Vietnam, all this, you kind of already know what's been going on over there. So you're not shocked by what people come back and say, or they don't want, what we're over there doing, our efforts in the war. They don't want people to get all worked up about it. So they want to show you the images so you can get used to it. It's desensitizing people. And that's what they do with these movies. They tell you shit. They told you about remember the movie on Netflix, Pandemic? They actually put that out right before the COVID outbreak. I literally watched that movie like a week before COVID hit. And it was literally talking about flu, H1N1, that same flu virus being in the chickens and then the bats and all of that. And then boom, COVID. It was literally like a week right before COVID hit. So they do these things. It's all propaganda. Yep, subliminal messages. It's all programming so that we can already be familiar with it. So when it does happen, we're not so upset or afraid. That's why they keep showing you images of devastation and global warming and, tsunamis that might occur and asteroids that might hit. So like if something like that happens, it won't cause, you still would have mass hysteria, but people kind of like knew it was coming. I'm telling you, Hollywood, they have an agenda. And a lot of it, is for entertainment. It's to put out a message. And they put these messages out in images. It's certain frequencies that they play and we hear it. So when he was talking about that, and I was surprised that he actually went there saying that, they put spells on her right before people talk to her. He said they keep a lot of people away from her, but they actually, so that they can have time to put their spell on her. This is what he told me. And I kind of understood where he was coming from with that. Even if it's not a literal spell, let's just say, okay, say it's not a spell, literally witchcraft. But if you have someone that's sitting in your face and they're beating your head in about Kevin is bad, you don't need to, he's just trying to do this, and he's gonna ruin your career. They say all this shit to you, and you're already vulnerable, you're high or drunk or whatever, and they're beating all this shit, and then you really don't even want to deal with that shit anyway. That's a form of a spell. Because you're just already just browbeaten. She's just like, get this shit away from me. It's a lot. You already just had to deal with a whole crowd of people doing your show. All you want to do, you done been taping all day. All you want to do is just go home. And you got people just beating you. Oh, Miss Williams, you got to sign this. Oh, Miss Williams, you got to do this. It's a lot. And then, you got millions of dollars on the table, contracts, people that you have to have allegiance to. And these white people that are around, their job and their careers is riding off of Wendy Williams, right? So now she doesn't have a show. She doesn't have any money coming in. They have no money coming in. So these people, their interest is protecting and keeping the little money that she does have. Because a lot of people are eating off of Wendy. So why couldn't Kevin's school be paid then? Okay. So fuck Kevin Sr. What about Kevin Jr.? Okay. What's the excuse for his school not being paid? Right? They're spelling no more money for Kelvin. Manipulation is witchcraft. Absolutely. So, you know, like I said, it was a long conversation, and it was a lot of tea spilled. And then there was a lot of stuff that was said that was actually sad. You know, I feel for Wendy. Wendy had it all. And I don't know, how do we get back to Wendy? That's all I want to know. How does Wendy get back to Wendy? Is Wendy ever going to get back to Wendy? I don't know. I think Wendy's mental decline has more to do with her mother. I think her mother was ill for a while, and then she passed, and Wendy never grieved. Wendy never grieved over a lot of things. Wendy, when Kevin left, you know, and the baby and all those things, that was a lot on Wendy. That shit took Wendy out. And the most profound thing, like I said, I felt that shit when Kevin said to me, if Wendy had to move the fuck on and found love, she would not be where she is. And I believe a part of that, because if she had found love in her life, someone that loved her like Kevin never loved her, and like no one else ever loved her, truly cared about her health, her well-being, you would see a great Wendy right now. You'd see a healthy Wendy right now. You'd see a rejuvenated Wendy right now. Wendy has enough money for access. She has access to the finest healthcare, the finest doctors. She did not have to let herself go the way she did. True, she was hurt. True, she went through a lot, but she could have healed. She could have healed. And if you got people around you that don't want you to heal, you will never heal. Because guess what? If you heal, then you get to see what it is they've been doing. If she wakes up and she comes out of the fog, then you get to see who's been stealing. You get to see where's the fuck my money been going? You start asking questions. See, when you ain't drunk and you ain't high, you gonna see a lot of things. So a lot of this is appeasing her because they don't want her to get clean. They don't have any interest in Wendy getting clean or well. That doesn't do anything for them. Where's her agents? Where's her show? Wendy Williams is the queen of media, talk shows, radio shows. Wendy should have a multi-million-dollar podcast right now. Wendy been off of the purple couch. Where's her Spotify contract? Where's her show? Wendy should have been had a show. Where's her agents? Where's Deadmar Mercury? Where's these people? Where is Wendy's show? Wendy's not able to do a show. That's why Wendy doesn't have a show. Mentally, Wendy can't do one. That's why. Right. Find love, but still take care of him. Man, he on some drive-by, kiss my trash. No way will I give you another dime. You understand? Get out of there and create another chair. Well, see, that's what I'm saying. Where is her chair? Wendy Williams should have been had a podcast. The people around her, they should have been worked out a deal for her. She's Wendy Williams. You know how much money she would have made, people? They was all waiting. Her fans were waiting on a podcast. They literally were waiting on one. I don't think even if they put a podcast together now, if there would even be a market for it. Like, I mean, everybody loves Wendy, but she wouldn't be able to carry no show. Wendy's not mentally able to do it. I'm sorry. I don't think we're going to ever see a show come from Wendy Williams. I really don't. It's tragic, but it's sad to say it. I really don't. They all failed her, period. Call me darling. And why did they fail her? Because they had no interest in it. They wanted her money. They wanted to keep it the way it was and the way it is. They have no interest in Wendy getting well and Wendy going off into Spotify multi-million-dollar land. Yes, that would make them more money, but guess what? That would mean that Wendy would get well, and Wendy, in order for Wendy to do a show, Wendy got to get well. Wendy can't go on like she used to be young and shake it off the night of partying and drinking and being a stupor and then go do that show. She can't. She's older now. Her body physically cannot handle that. She's done a lot to herself, mentally and physically. She physically cannot do a show. That's why she don't have one. She can't do it. She physically cannot. It would be cringy to watch it, to even hear it. She wouldn't be making any sense. She would not be able to stay on topic. She wouldn't be able to read no cue cards, nothing. She would not physically be able to do it. Now, if she were to be able to do it, she would have to get clean. She would have to get well. And if she does that, that means she sees the truth. If she gets clean, she sees all the shit that been going on. She sees where her money was. That means that she is now able to be in control of her money, in control of her assets. And that does what? Reveals the truth. They keep her the way they're keeping her now. She's not in control of her money. She's not in control of shit. She literally got to go through people to get what she needs. So there's a lot at stake here when you talk about Wendy Williams. It is not the same Wendy that we used to know. It's not the same Wendy that we've seen. And it's not going to ever be that Wendy again. Wendy's gone. She's getting older. So she's not going to be able to go back. Right? She's just not. She's not going to be able to bounce back to that old Wendy. That's gone. I mean, as we get older and we get into our 60s and stuff like that, we just get slower. We get slower in speech. We get slower in thought and wit. She's not going to have that quick wit about her. And what would she be talking about? What would her show be about? We already have so many. It's oversaturated with show about tea and spilling the tea and talking about all the rumors and everything. Wendy was the queen of that. She's not able to get out here and find stories and break stories. And what would her show be about? She's literally done that already. So she would have to reinvent herself and come back with something different. Nobody would want to see that same blueprint from Wendy Williams. It's so many people doing that. And then we would have to see it as a podcast. That's a totally different setup. It would be more personal. She would have to carry the show all by herself. There wouldn't be an audience to interact with. It would be hard for her. You have to think about all those things. And the media right now, the media market is oversaturated. We have everybody, Shade Room, Neighborhood Talk, YouTube personalities. Everybody has a show now. And Spotify is oversaturated with shows. She literally would have to reinvent herself. But if she goes back to work, she'd have to start paying the user again. The industry worked Wendy like they do all of them. Remember when Prince wrote slave on his face? Yep. When these celebs don't make money for them anymore, they dispose of them. Look what they did to Prince, period. And she's not able to make money. They don't see an interest in a Wendy Williams anymore in a show, right? So they're really just going to let her waste away. They have no interest in getting Wendy well, healthy, back on the market, nothing, because there's no need or want for a Wendy Williams. What is the need or want for Wendy Williams right now? Is being in the press is what she's in for the press for right now. Her and Kevin with the divorce, the money, still talking about Sharina, wondering what the hell going on with Wendy, her lymphedema, her acting out, her being seen and spotted, falling asleep in the Louis Vuitton place or whatever on this. Her acting out every time we see her. That is what the need for Wendy is in the public right now. It is not a purple couch show. I'm sorry, but nobody wants to hear tea from Wendy Williams. I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest. So that's all I have, you guys. Like I said, I will think about what I'm going to do with the tea that I have. And, I'll talk to Kevin and see if I can get him to do some type of phone interview and maybe get you guys some entertainment in that way. But that's the tea. That's all I have for you guys. So if you catch the replay, drop in the comments and let me know what you think about these things that Kevin said. What do you believe? Do you believe anything about spells and witchcraft? What do you have to say about that? Do you think that the industry puts spells on people? Do you think that there's witchcraft going on? Dr. Sebi healed Kevin Jr. That was one of his last patients. But Wendy didn't go. Sharina went. Did Wendy know? And why didn't Wendy go? She had to work. Really? Kevin says she was busy chasing what she's always chased. And what about Wendy knowing about Sharina? Wendy knew about Sharina. There was a whole nother house that Wendy knew about that she paid for Wendy to just turn a blind eye and act like she didn't know about Sharina. She absolutely did. Kevin says he wanted more children and did not know that Wendy had her tubes tied until her biopic came out. He said he wanted more kids. He said he even wanted to adopt. Okay. And maybe if Wendy had have done that, he said maybe their marriage could have been saved. I don't know, y'all. That's just what the man said. Okay. So y'all make sure y'all like the video, share the video. Most importantly, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye, y'all.